Hi everybody, for your communication tip of the week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull from our onlinecommunicationtraining.com lesson of the week, and it's a great principle. There's three principles that can transform any relationship that you have, and this clip that you're about to watch is on one of those three principles. It's rather long, it's about 10 minutes, but I thought everybody would get so much out of it. I'm going to post it here, and of course for the entire lessons, make sure to subscribe to onlinecommunicationtraining.com. So enjoy the lesson. And now we are at my favorite part of this lesson, our communication principle of the week.
Communication principle of the week.
I'm going to be talking about some different relationship principles for the next few lessons, and this is one of the three most important communication principles of all when it comes to relationships. There are three main communication principles that I want to keep in mind that will magically transform any relationship. We're going to get to the other two later on. This is one of the three transformational principles that can really transform any relationship, and it is: it can only be what I am not giving that can be missing from any one of my relationships. So I'd like you to take a deep breath and repeat this after me. It is only what I am not giving that could possibly be missing from any relationship. We frequently find ourselves saying things such as, "Why can't my spouse be more romantic?" Or, "Why can't my boss treat me with more respect?" You know, that's a common issue that I have. And I know that there's somebody out there right now that has a big problem with her boss or his boss. And her problem is, or his problem is, my boss is outrageous. She treats me with such a lack of respect. I can't believe it. And what's missing from this relationship, we think, is respect. And we look for it in the other person. You know, again, with our spouse, many people come to me and they'll tell me, because I talk a lot about relationships in my conferences and workshops, relationships is the name of the game. So people will come and they'll say, "My husband has completely lost any trace of romance. He is the most unromantic spouse that you could possibly imagine. That's what's missing from my relationship. What am I going to do about it?" And it might be difficult to recognize at first that it can only be what we are not giving to this relationship that could possibly be missing, but really think about it. And this takes a lot of ego casting aside for us to really let this one sink in. For example, if your spouse isn't romantic, so says you, and you want your spouse to be more romantic, many times what we'll do is we'll tell our spouse things like, "Would you mind doing XYZ? You know, you never bring me flowers anymore. You never send me those love songs. You don't do this and that and the other. Why don't you hold my hand?" And we start to put chains on that person and put them in a box and tell them how to behave and tell them that they're not romantic and tell them to be more romantic. What could possibly be less romantic than that? So if you, for example, find yourself in that situation where you think my spouse needs to be more loving with me, maybe you should take a good look in a mirror and recognize that there is nothing more loving and more romantic than allowing our partner to be whoever they are at that very moment, to release all chains and labels off of them, all gone, and say, "You know what, I'm going to accept you exactly as you are. I'm going to accept you for the person that you are, and I'm going to love that person, and I'm going to be sweet to that person, and I'm going to be kind to that person, and if I want to be romantic, I'm going to be the romantic person, and I'm going to completely cast aside any preconceived notions of how you should be behaving, because that is the least romantic thing in the world. That is the least loving thing in the world, to want anything for you but love and freedom. And so maybe if I project what I really want, what's really missing from this relationship, into that relationship, maybe all of a sudden I'll start to have it." And by the way, as one little caveat, we might think we know what's missing from a relationship, but it might not always be what we think. You know, we might think that what's missing from our relationship that would save this relationship is romance, and that might not be it at all. But if you do recognize that something's missing, it can only be what you're not giving, because all of our relationships are a reflection of us and what we're giving to that relationship. It's all coming back to us. You know, you can call it what you want. You can call it you reap what you sow. You can call it karma. You can call it the universal law. We only get back what we give out. And so, by definition, if there's something missing in one of our relationships, it's simply that which we're not giving to that relationship. And that can be really difficult to see. You know, for example, many people in the workplace, they'll say, what's missing from our work relationship? Respect. I can't believe how people talk to one another. I can't believe how my boss talks to me. If I could change one thing about the relationship that I have with my boss, it's that I would like her to respect me more. All right? Let's go with that. Like, let's say that that's you. And you're saying to yourself, yes, I'd like my boss to respect me. She doesn't respect me enough. That's what's missing. How about you respect your professional relationship enough to be a polished, savvy, enlightened communicator, regardless of how anybody else communicates at the office, including your boss? How about that? Maybe if you, for example, if you're having trouble with respect, if you respected yourself, because really, it's all one big relationship that we have. We have a relationship with ourselves, we have a relationship with the universe, our maker, whatever you want to call it, and a relationship with everybody else on the planet. And if you find that there's not enough romance in your relationship with the big R, you know, that's my relationship that I have with everybody. If you find that there's not enough romance, respect, love, whatever it is that you think is missing, try bringing that. You know, try respecting yourself enough to say, at work, for example, I'm going to respect this workplace and this relationship so much that it's not going to make a difference how other people behave, because that's about them. What's about me is the attitude that I bring into the workplace that's going to be respectful, courteous, and professional regardless of what's going on around me. Now, I know that's easier said than done. I mean, we all know that. But it's a good place to start. We have to start someplace. And what we want to start doing is recognizing that what's missing from these various relationships in our life, you know, it's all one big relationship, but these various issues that come up, these things that seem to be missing, really start asking yourself, am I giving that? And don't just automatically say, yes, I am. You know, I'm romantic with my spouse. I'm loving. I'm respectful. I'm professional. Really ask yourself, is there room for growth? Can I maybe do something that's, you know, truly romantic? You know, again, there's nothing more romantic than allowing somebody to be who they are. Nothing. Nothing will win somebody's heart more than that, because that's real love, you know? And there's nothing more respectful than respecting that how somebody communicates has nothing to do with you. You know, if my boss calls me names every day at work, you know, if my boss puts a sign on my desk that says Dan stinks, you know, or any other type of insult, me being able to be respectful enough of that person to recognize that has nothing to do with me. Any issue that is causing you to express something other than great love. You know, if in a perfect world, we'd all be giving and receiving great love. But most people, at some point or another, can't feel as though they're getting their needs met while expressing love at the same time. You know, they just feel that way. And so if you're misbehaving, one of the most respectful things that I can do for me and for you, and one of the most professional things that I can do, is recognize, something's amiss in your life that has nothing to do with me. So what I'm going to do is infuse this relationship what it is that I perceive to be missing. So if it's respect, I'm going to find a way to be respectful. If it's love, I'm going to find a way to be loving. Now, by the way, for example, let's say that someone's bashing my face in every day. You know, if I'm married to an abusive spouse and they're bashing my face in, what might be missing from that relationship could be distance. You know, it could be that that person doesn't respect me. That's the way I see it. But what I need to do is respect myself, infuse respect into this relationship, and do what's right for me. So again, we might have it a little bit out of whack, what we think is missing from a relationship. We very rarely see things the way they are. You know, we see things the way we are. But if we can start with recognizing that when something has gone awry in a relationship, and I perceive there to be lack in this relationship. It's simply what I'm not giving to this relationship that could possibly be missing is going to not only help heal these relationships, but it's going to help bring me peace. Because if that's true, that it can only be what I'm not giving that could possibly be missing from any relationship, what that means is I am totally in control and in the driver's seat. Isn't that great? And it's the truth. So, with that in mind, I'd like to send you out into the communication sphere. You are armed with some new strategies for the week. Remember, this week you're going to be practicing looking for and avoiding head scratch. You're going to be practicing making the steeple. You're going to be eliminating some danger phrases, adding some power phrases. You're going to be practicing your professional greeting over the telephone. You're going to be practicing the diplomatic decline. And you're going to be focusing on your principle of the week, which is, it could only be what I'm not giving that could possibly be missing from any relationship.
Communication principle of the week.
So, Buddy and I would like to thank you for joining us this week. I will see you next time here at onlinecommunicationtraining.com. This is communication trainer Dan O'Connor and Buddy signing off. I'll see you next week.